like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Saturn review. We've gone for an RPG today. We've gone for Mystaria, The Realms of Lore, which I do believe was the first RPG released on the system, and it came out in January of 1996 over here in Europe. So the story for Mystaria is pretty simple. Lord Bane has invaded Queensland. He's put the Queen under a spell. He's taken over the country. He is wreaking havoc, and it is down to Prince Aragorn and his fellow companions to try and put a stop to Lord Bane's evil ways. So once the intro is done and the game finally begins, you're given a bit of backstory which helps you understand exactly what has gone on. Bane was defeated many years ago, but he wasn't actually killed. He was driven away, and now he is back. He's seeking revenge, and it's down to Aragorn, who has to go and collect an army of 12 individuals who can completely destroy Lord Bane once and for all. Without this, he will continually come back. He can be resurrected over and over again, apparently, if he is not defeated by 12 specific warriors. It is quite interesting. It's quite good. It's got a bit of a Final Fantasy feel to it in some ways, going around adding warriors to your party to eventually become stronger, to then face Bane in the final showdown. So like I always do with my reviews, we're going to talk about the way the game looks, the way it sounds, the way it plays, how much lifespan you can expect to get, and then ultimately whether it is worth playing today and if it makes it into our Saturn top 10. Well, we've got to start with the most negative part of the game, the graphics. Unfortunately for Mystaria, it is a truly shocking looking game. Whether we're talking about the pre-rendered character sprites, which are awful, whether we're talking about the environments in battle, they are pretty bad, whether we're talking about the world map graphics, because they are shocking as well, it really is a poor looking game. Even the text on the menus isn't particularly good either. In the towns, the graphics are choppy and poor as well. There really is not a whole lot to say in a positive way about the game looks. There really isn't. There's no amazing special attack graphics either. This is a really bad looking game, and I was thinking, if I'd just come from playing Final Fantasy VI on the SNES and I then turned this game on thinking, oh, I'm on a 32-bit console now, it's going to be better, I would have been well and truly gutted. Now, when I played this game originally over 20 years ago, I was absolutely gutted with the way it looked then because it's so poor. There really isn't anything I can say positive about it. It runs really bad as well. It runs at a really low frame rate. I mean, I'm not even sure if it even runs at 20 frames a second. I've not tried to measure the frame rate or anything, but I can tell you one thing, it is not good. Walking through the towns is choppy. Going on the world map is choppy. And the battle graphics as well, the game engine in battle as well is just clunky. It is not good. There's just nothing whatsoever redeeming I can say about the graphics for Mystaria. So moving on to the way the game sounds, and thankfully this is a bit more positive because Mystaria, like a lot of RPGs, has some good quality music within the game. I always feel like composers for RPGs tend to be much more creative in the way that they come up with the musical tracks, and I think they need to be to make the games sort of more interesting and more gripping, and Mystaria is no different. It's got some really good musical scores in the game. One downside would probably be the fact that there's not enough variety. It's recycled in towns and stuff like that, which gets a little bit repetitive. One other thing to note is that the sound effects on the game aren't of a particularly high quality. They've got that slightly muffled mid-90s sound to them, that probably what you'd expect for cartridge really. But what I'm going to do is, like what I always do, is give you a few samples so you can decide for yourself. So moving on to the way Mystaria plays, and this is no doubt the strongest aspect of the game, certainly the way it plays in battle, at least anyway. You bring your characters into battle, you pick a team usually of 5 or 6 characters, and then you're moving them around the grid based battlefield to take down the enemies. It's very similar in many ways to Shining Force 3. Obviously you can see where that's got some of its ideas from, definitely. And it works really, really well. Your characters can level up their technique as well as their actual physical levels, meaning they will learn specific abilities depending on the weapons they use, or if they're magical ones or if they're defensive ones, because each kind of category has technical points, and the more you use abilities, you'll level up and you will learn new skills. And then some other characters can learn the skills that other characters can learn, and it is really, really good. Another thing is your characters can have only 9 moves equipped at a time, so you've got to think about which moves you want to have equipped on a character. Usually you progress and you get more powerful ones, and you can replace the weaker abilities as you go along in the game, and it works absolutely fantastic. Again, as well, something else that adds depth to it is the fact the characters have energy, and the more you move, you won't be able to use certain actions if you've used more of your energy up. So you've got to be careful about how far you move your characters, where you put them in terms of your abilities as well. Some are single square attacks, other ones could be multi-area attacks, or ones that are attacking in a straight line. It's got fantastic depth. The combat does, for such an old 1995, it came out originally in Japan. It's such an old RPG. It's got really good combat mechanics, and they are without a doubt the strongest point in the game. In terms of the other gameplay, moving around the world map, moving around the towns, it's very simplistic. You just move your character around. Like I said before, in the graphics, it's pretty clunky. It's got a pretty depth menu system as well. You can check out the bios of your characters, equip your new weapons, all that kind of stuff you can do in a normal RPG, going in the shops, upgrading your gear and stuff. It's all in there, and it just works really, really well. And I think if you can look past the bad graphics of the game, then you will realize that it's actually a game that plays really, really well. So moving on to the lifespan of the game, and it'll probably take you about 20 hours or so to complete, which for me is actually pretty good. I don't think it's too long. I don't think it's too short. I've actually been playing Persona 5 on the PS3 for a long time, and I'm only about halfway through the game, but I've been playing it for over 40 hours. And for me, that's just kind of too long. I think 20 hours is pretty good to just jump in, play it a little bit each day, and you'll have completed the game within like 2 or 3 weeks maybe, and I think that's pretty good. It's got more meat to it than Magic Knight Rayearth and Albert Odyssey, which I reviewed quite a while back now. It's definitely got more to it than both of those games, so I think 20 hours or so is pretty good. So, as always, we are left with the 2 final questions to answer. The first one being, is Mystaria still worth playing today? And the second being, does it make it into our top 10? Answering the first one, Mystaria is worth playing in this day and age if you have the ability to look past what everybody else would consider as faults. And I don't know many people who are able to do this. You need to be able to look past the deficiencies in the graphics and the way the game runs to appreciate how it plays and enjoy the story as well. If you can do that, you will enjoy Mystaria. Even with it looking the way it does, you will find enjoyment. You will find pleasure in playing it because it is an enjoyable game. The second question, does it make it into our Saturn top 10? A bit of a drum roll, dun 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 dun. And the answer is yes. In my list, it comes in at number 7. I really do enjoy this game, and even though I was really scathing about the graphics, everything else makes up for it, and I really enjoyed Mystaria the first time I played it so long ago, and I've enjoyed playing it again for this review, so it comes in to our top 10. What are your thoughts on Mystaria? How do you think it holds up all these years later? Has anybody actually even played it? Because, you know, I don't know a single person that's ever even heard of this game, and when it came out way back when, I don't remember any of the kids talking about it at school whatsoever. That is it for today. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will be back with another Saturn review in the near future. Goodbye for now.